The Advent movement of the early 1800s expected Jesus to return in the year of 1844. Jesus did not appear at that time. Yet, instead of giving up on what they experienced as a false revival, some within this movement decided that they had the correct date, but had expected the wrong event to occur. The Millerites decided that in 1844, Jesus had entered the second compartment of the heavenly sanctuary and began an investigative judgment of his people. This period would be of very short duration, hence their expectation of his soon coming. In hand with this doctrine, they taught that the opportunity for salvation for the world was over. No longer could anyone be saved other than the small group of Adventists who had accepted the Millerite message and the midnight cry. This particular doctrine became known as the shut door. One of the first to propose this idea was O.R.L. Crozier, who states, quote, "In the year 1846, I explained the idea of the sanctuary in an article in an extra number of the Daystar, Cincinnati, Ohio. The object of that article was to support the theory that the door of mercy was shut, a theory which I and nearly all Adventists who had adopted William Miller's views had held from the years 1844 to 1848. Yes, I know that Ellen G. Harmon, now Mrs. White, held that shut door theory at that time," unquote. Another one of the early teachers of the shut door doctrine was Joseph Turner, quote, "But can any sinners be converted if the door is shut? Of course they cannot." The Advent Mirror of 1845. These and men like them led Joseph Bates into accepting the shut door doctrine. In the Review and Herald, August 19, 1851, Joseph Bates says, quote, "We understand that he was a mediator for all the world, ministering in the holy place, from the day of Pentecost, AD 31, until his appointed time, the end of the 2,300 days or years, the fall of 1844. At this point of time, then, the door was shut against the Sardis church, aka the Protestant church, and the wicked world," unquote. James White explains the shut door in the same manner. In a May 1850 article of The Present Truth, page 79, James White deals with the shut door subject, quote, "From the best light we could then obtain from the autumnal types, we were very confident that the days would end at the 7th month. When we came up to that point of time, all our sympathy, burden, and prayers for sinners ceased, and the unanimous feeling and testimony was that our work for the world was finished forever. But the sinner, to whom Jesus had stretched out his arms all the day long, and to whom had rejected the offers of salvation, was left without an advocate when Jesus passed from the holy place and shut that door in 1844. This article establishes that James White believed in the shut door. His article was to establish that what they had been preaching for the previous 5 years was correct. Keep in mind the dates on these articles. They range from the fall of 1844 up to 1851. In Selected Messages, Volume 1, page 63, Ellen explains what the term shut door, quote-unquote, originally meant. She admits that she did believe the doctrine like the rest of her associates, but she insists that this was before her first vision, and that her visions corrected the error. Quote, "For a time after the disappointment in 1844, I did hold, in common with the Advent body, that the door of mercy was then forever closed to the world. This position was taken before my first vision was given me. It was the light given me of God that corrected our error and enabled us to see the true position." Ellen also explains the shut door doctrine in The Spirit of Prophecy, Volume 4, page 268. There should be no misunderstanding on what the term shut door meant for the Adventists in the years from 1844 through 1851, nor should we question the fact that all three of these aforementioned Adventists believed in this doctrine. Now, in the previous quote of Ellen White, she tells that she came to this position before she had the vision, and it was actually her visions that taught the group that they had erred. She and her defenders deny that she ever had a vision that supported the shut door doctrine. With just a little investigation, we can see that this is false. First, the clear history of this era teaches us that it took Ellen White 6 years to finally wake up. Is it true that she never had a vision that taught the classic shut door doctrine? Did her visions condemn it as error or support it? If her visions had touted it as error, shouldn't she have been condemning the error all of those years by inspiration and by straightening out her husband, Bates, and the rest? This was not a minor doctrine. This was a doctrine that condemned the world and taught the poor sinners that Jesus was no longer willing to save them. We will see that her visions did give support to the doctrine of the shut door. Ellen White's first vision is claimed for December 1844. It was not printed until it appeared in the Day Star, January 24, 1846, and again in May 1847 in James White's booklet, A Word to the Little Flock. And I quote, "Others rashly deny the light behind them, and said that it was not God that had led them out so far. The light behind them went out, leaving their feet in perfect darkness, and they stumbled and got their eyes off the mark, and lost sight of Jesus, and fell off the path down in the dark and the wicked world below." It was just as impossible for them to get on the path again and go to the city as all the wicked world which God had rejected, unquote. What does the vision teach? That the faint-hearted Adventists that had left the light had forever lost their salvation, just like the rest of the wicked world. My friend, this is the exact doctrine of the shut door. What did James White say was the effect of the vision? Quote, "When she received her first vision, December 1844, she and all the band in Portland, Maine, where her parents then resided, had given up the midnight cry and the shut door as being in the past. It was then that the Lord showed her in her vision the error into which she and the band in Portland had fallen. She then related her vision to the band, and about 60 confessed their error and acknowledged their 7th-month experience to be the work of God." Unquote. A Word to the Little Flock, 1847, page 22. Now notice what he says. After the failure of October 22nd, the group had given up the midnight cry and shut door, as it was not in the past, but yet future. What turned them around to renew their faith in all of that, including the shut door, was Ellen White's vision. And the shut door that they had given up before the vision, and the one they preached following that vision, was that the opportunity for salvation for the world was over.